So we start now. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone. Great to have you in our YouTube stream again. And today we continue our SAP Cloud Lifecycle Management webcast series. Our topic for today is 360-degree view of the Technical Downtime Optimization application. And our expert speaker for today is Jens Figer, and he will introduce himself in the session just in a few minutes. My name is Larissa Brinkmann from the SAP Global User Groups organization, and I'm your host for today. We kindly ask you to place your questions via live chat, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. The PDF of this session will be available in the video description under the same link. With this, I wish you great interaction and ask Jens to take over.
Yeah, thanks so much, Larissa, and also a very warm welcome from my side. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So before we start with the session as such, I'd like to give you a brief introduction. Who is talking to you? So my name is Jens. I worked as product manager in my previous role for the Technical Downtime Optimization app. That sounds maybe now a little odd to you. So I just switched over within SAP to a new role. So we are currently in the transition phase, handing over the topic to my successor. So she already got started a couple of weeks ago, and she will take care on the topic in future. So the next stream that you may tune in will be not with me, but with Mirja Kempin. She's my successor in the product management team. So, having said that, I'd like to start already with the topic. As we have learned, we are talking about the 360-degree view of the Technical Downtime Optimization application. So before we start with the content, I'd like to show you the disclaimer. There might be things that I show that are not yet released or that will be changed slightly before we release it. So that's the disclaimer, as usual. You know, we have had already a couple of webcasts in the past weeks. So in the last 2 months, actually, we've had a good handful or 2 handful of sessions about the software update manager from Boris Rubart, as well as the conversion topics, the downtime, optimized conversion, etc. Also zero downtime option, which was one of my topics in the earlier days, was presented. And as said, we are now closing the software update manager / downtime optimization series with this technical downtime optimization application. This application is not part of the software update manager. However, it is part of the overall downtime optimization umbrella, and it perfectly fits into the topic system maintenance. So what is this software about? Let me start with this one pager that gives you, I think, a good understanding of what the TDO, Technical Downtime Optimization application, is about. Very important, it is not a standalone application or software that you have to install separately or something like that. So we are talking about an application which is part of the SAP ONE Support Launchpad. So on the right-hand side, you can see that screen. Actually, I will have quite a big demo here as part of the session. So it's just a handful of slides that I will present, and we will start right away in a couple of minutes with the live demo of the application. So as said beforehand, let's have a brief look what the application is about. First of all, it's an easy to consume analytics. So what does that stand for? Well, we are here talking about the system maintenance events like a migration or an upgrade, an update, a conversion, etc., which generates quite a lot of numbers in terms of runtimes, uptime, and downtime, and so on. And in the earlier days, we have learned that there were customers using like table calculation software. In a sense, mostly it was Microsoft Excel to refactor what the upgrade analytics file was printing out and creating own charts, etc. With the TDO app, you get the charts out of the box. So it's an easy to consume analytics. You can even simulate also runtimes. For instance, you have done a standard conversion and you want to go for a downtime optimized conversion. You can simulate what would be the benefit if I switch on a downtime optimized flavor of a maintenance event. Also, and I said I will have also quite a lot of demos here. The application can give you some tailored advices in terms of how can you speed up runtimes, which eventually also leads to the savings of downtimes. So in a sense, it can give you some idea of if you have a lengthy runtime of a particular upgrade phase, what might be a parameter to be adjusted in order to speed up the runtime of a particular phase. Things like that. Last but not the least, it's included in the SAP support offering. So the application as such is requiring a separate authorization, but there is no extra cost. We have summarized all the prerequisites and the conditions in the main SAP note, which is linked here down below, 2881515. It tells you which authorization you need in the SAP ONE Support Launchpad in order to open the application. Of course, here is also the direct link to the application. I will show you also in a minute how you can navigate directly via a tile rather than going for the typing in the direct link. So how does that work now from an end-to-end perspective? So assuming you have done an upgrade using the software update manager, and how does your data now come into the Technical Downtime Optimization app? There's different ways. On the one hand side, and it's the most easiest way, is at the very end of the software update manager tool, you are asked to provide a feedback. Yeah? So that feedback could be like, hey, everything was very smooth and I like the tool. Or of course, if you have hit any issues, please be very honest and also tell the software update manager development team what should be improved in the tool. So that's very important. Yeah? That's a side remark from myself and a recommendation and advice that I want to give you. If you observe anything in the SUM, in the software update manager, where you say there's room for improvement, use this feedback form to provide feedback. And I can promise you, someone from development will come back to you if you have provided your feedback and your email address. So that feedback form has also, in the small text, we have written that down, the feature that not only your long text and the email address, etc., will be transmissioned to SAP, but also the so-called UPG-ANA, the upgrade analytics file. Along with sending that feedback, this file will be uploaded and made available in our analytics database. And that eventually also leads to making it visible for your customer number in the Technical Downtime Optimization app. If you haven't submitted feedback in the past, but you still have some UPG-ANAs, I will come back to that second term in a minute. If you still have them by hand and you want to evaluate those data, you can manually upload the files via the user interface. I will also show you that in a minute. There's not only the UPG-ANA for the upgrade analytics file from the SUM generated, but if we are talking about a system conversion, the conversion process as such generates a file that is called APPL-ANA, or APPL-ANA sometimes it's also pronounced. Yeah, this APPL-ANA contains the information of runtimes, how long did it take to convert your FI and all the other, the general ledger data from the old to the new data model in SAP S/4HANA. Yeah, so also this file also has to be uploaded then manually. So that's the upload and how the data comes into the application. There's an algorithm that runs in the background to process the data that is uploaded. It can take a couple of hours, yeah, so up to 3 hours. We have seen working on making it really as an ad hoc request, but as of today, we still have that kind of a small delay. If you have done the feedback form upload, also the manual upload, it can take up to 3 hours. That is until it is visible in the UI. So you don't have to enrich any data or something like that. So it's fully automated. Just take some time to get it into the database. Very last here. Now, once the data is there, you can start analyzing the data, right? So you can run ad hoc analysis and identify where is now the, let's say the big block that causes a lengthy downtime, or are you already happy with the downtime, and how is it distributed across the overall system maintenance event? If you have more than one cycle done, you can also compare these two runs. I will also show you that in a minute, as that's quite handy, right? So if you have done one standard conversion and a downtime optimized conversion, for instance, you want to see where did the runtimes improve? Where did it get worse, maybe? So for this, we have that comparison feature, which makes it very easy to compare two maintenance events. Of course, it doesn't make sense to compare an upgrade from last year with this year, because it's completely different phases or a content that is imported. So it should be like I'm gonna compare an apple with an apple, not apple with peaches. So what you can do is, for instance, you have done, I don't know, a queue system and a test system, and you want to compare these against each other. So that's not a problem. So how can you now find that application? As I've mentioned, it's part of the SAP ONE Support Launchpad. There you have that, sometimes I call it burger icon, right? So on the top left corner, you have that 3 bars, which little looks like a burger, where you can jump into the tile catalog and you can search for technical downtime or just for downtime, and then you find the application. And then you can just add it to your home screen, and from there you can jump right away to the maintenance events, and I will show you that in a minute. Yeah, having said that, let's take a very brief look what will be part of the demo. So a use case. Yeah, so when someone would use the technical downtime optimization application, and I pick up that use case for system conversion from SAP ERP to SAP S/4HANA. So we have 2 project leads. So Jane and Joe, they are co-leading a system conversion project to SAP S/4HANA. They have done one standard conversion run, and they have seen also, of course, after finishing all the conversion activities, that the downtime does not fit into what the business requests from the project team. So they eventually use the downtime optimization application in order to identify what are potential candidates to save downtime. I said we have a simulation feature. We can take a look. Is there any possibility to maybe squeeze the downtime by switching on any advanced technology like NZDM or DOC, downtime optimized conversion? This is what they do, and eventually they run a second iteration. They're going to compare these 2 iterations against each others, and let's see if they can make their business happy. Having said that, let's take it away from here into the demo mode. I have here the SAP ONE Support Launchpad. Let's just go very briefly to the tile catalog, and as I have promised, we just search for downtime. I already added that to my home, so you can add that to one of your favorite group if you want. I keep it here with me in the my home, and I just go back. So you can see now the SAP ONE Support Launchpad. The My Home group has a couple of tiles, and the Technical Downtime Optimization shows maybe some quite old data. So I have to say here, we are running a demo mode here. I have my SAP internal user. That's the reason why I need to scramble the data, which also means the dates that you can see here is a kind of a fictive date. So in the year 2000, we were not able to run that app already. It's just a scrambled data, right? If I go right away here into the application, I have the entry screen, and with that, we will start going into a couple of items already. As said, we have scrambled here the data because with my internal SAP user, I would see every single maintenance event of every customer. But if you log on with your S user, you will see only the maintenance events that belong to your customer number, respectively, installation and customer number, which is available to your S user. Very important. Data privacy, that's key. That's very, very important. No, none of the customers will see results from other customers. So with that, let me start with the top. So we have implemented here also standard features of the Fiori Launchpad. For instance, you can create own views. So let's say you have filtered here for a couple of system IDs, and I'm going to take here the type SAP S/4HANA conversion. I have filtered here the 2 system IDs that are relevant for my user. And then I can see the list gets a little shorter, right? And I can save this view now as like the demo view, and I can set that as a default, right? So if I re-enter the application, these fields are then filled again with that set of filters that I have defined now. And I can switch, of course, back to the standard, right? So then the filter should vanish. But as I said, I want to keep now the demo view in order to also simplify what to showcase. What else do we have here on the entry screen? We have here some settings. So if you want to see some more columns, or if you want to change those columns, then you can also add these to the table. We can enlarge that by maximizing the table. I also told you the data usually comes after the SUM is finished with the feedback form. However, there's also the manual upload. So if you click that upload button, you can upload the UPG ANA which is generated by the software update manager, and the Apple ANA, which is generated by the conversion process. Here's some long text describing what is uploaded and where it is uploaded, where it is stored. So like in the European Union on Google Cloud Platform, GCP, that you can just upload the data here. And it will take a couple of minutes or up to 3 hours actually to make the data present here and visible. So with that, let me open one maintenance event. I told you Jane and Joe, they have done standard conversion. That's a second line item, and we're going to start right away here with this second line item. So I'm going to navigate forward, and we can see here a couple of metadata. We can download the UPG ANA, the raw file, and the Apple ANA. As well as, we have some information on what's the source and the target release. So we came from 750, respectively, SAP ERP EHP 8, going to 755. So don't wonder. So that's 755 and all that versions that correlate with the SAP basis version. However, it's in SAP S/4HANA. 755 is SAP S/4HANA 2020. So the target was SAP S/4HANA 2020. What else do we have? If you have used this app in the past, there was a drop-down view to change from some downtime to conversion downtime or S/4HANA conversion. We have got feedback from customers. This was not really intuitive, so we got rid of this drop-down menu. So if you wonder why this is no longer here, it's because we got feedback. I'm gonna come back to the feedback channel also later at the end of the demo, because this is also important that not only the SUM developers receive feedback via the feedback form, but also the application developers here can receive feedback via the button on the top right corner. So let's go here a little more into detail. So as said, we have an SAP S/4HANA conversion, which is a standard conversion. So now no downtime optimized flavor was switched on. We can see here both information was provided, like the UPG ANA from SUM and the Apple ANA from the conversion. And if both information is provided, the Technical Downtime Optimization app is combining this information into this single screen. And that leads to the overall runtime of, well, it's like 2 days, a little more than 2 days, which is split into 6 hours of downtime of SUM plus 17 hours for the FI conversion. Yeah? FI conversion comes after SUM is finished if you do a standard conversion. That's important. So we keep that for now in mind. So overall, we have a downtime of a little more than 24 hours. Yeah, so this is 1 day and 6 minutes. If we go here a little deeper, SUM downtime analysis, it tells you what are the main downtime drivers. And as said, we have also some advices. So for instance, if you click on the main import, which took us 2 hours, it tells you a little more on which parameters are relevant to if you want to tune that and fine tune the runtime of the main import. So typically it's the R3 trends parallelism. However, it's not recommended to tune or to set a very, very high number of R3 trends. It also matters on how many CPUs and cores do you have, etc. And this advice here would point to an SAP note describing a little more on how to set the parallelism for this. Yeah, and it also states the technical phase name. Second here, we can see data conversion. Data conversion in terms of application-defined procedures like express and after import methods, and some methods on this conversion related for the VBFA migration, etc. So here also you can see what can you do in order to minimize the runtime, to set that to a minimum. So there's a guidance to another SAP node. So let me just go here. If you would click on this level on SUM downtime, it's also quite interesting to see. It tells you also the top running phases, like the long runners, I would say. It starts here and it actually takes out the top 5, which are relevant for the downtime. And you can see here the tabm UPG, respective the main import, express IM execution, and the site and data migration. So I said we're going to pick out the top 5 and print them out here on that level. Yeah. So it's not applicable to the FI conversion, but what's applicable to the FI conversion, you can see here that run in which client and what were the run times per element. So I'm not a conversion expert, so I can't explain you now what these details would mean. Just that I want to show you how we structure it here, right? So we have the FI conversion and we can drill down. And that's basically what is there in the UPG, in the Apple ANA, but it's also visualized. Yeah? So what you can see here. This is one view that we have implemented, and just very recently, some 2 months ago, we have applied another view because, here we don't have that correlation to when did you start the process and when did it end, and to see the exact run times and to zoom in. So we have decided that's more like the high level view, but if you want to have a detailed view also with a with a real timeline, you can click on this icon on the right-hand side. It looks slightly different. However, it still is structured in that way that we have the uptime. If you click on uptime, we can also see here it's like 1 day, and it started on September 9th. And the downtime then got started like on shortly after 9:30 on the same day. And if we click on that, or respectively, you can see here, the execution phases are also structured here with the real runtimes, right? And with that factor of showing here, for instance, the TABIM UPG, how long it run, with the correlation also to the other runtimes. So we can see that here are some more phases. And if we zoom in, and I'm just using my mouse wheel, we can also drag and drop here that bar, and indeed we can see not only the top running phases, but here you really see what are the technical phases that run as part of the upgrade and when did they run. And I think that's really a handy feature if you want to drill down further compared to the first view. Now you can really drill down here into a very detailed level to get a precise timeline of the particular phases. Sometimes you can see, and I want to just grab out here an example, that the runtime here is like 46 minutes. That's the net runtime. But apparently there was an issue happening, which means the phase run close to 4 hours from a gross time perspective, but the net runtime was just 46 minutes. So it took here, in that case, the customer to resolve an issue like for more than 3 hours. And that's also good to see, right? So we have the net runtime on the one hand side, but on the other hand, we also have the gross runtime to really see where the time got consumed. So this is now the overview of one particular maintenance event. And as I've said, Jane and Joe, they have done now this analysis, and they have seen the technical downtime was a day, which was split between, if I go just to the first screen, the SUM downtime, 6 hours plus 17 hours of the FI conversion, which is post SUM. And now it would be interesting to see if I simulate, if I click on simulate, just the downtime optimized conversion. It moves the FI conversion from downtime into uptime. Here we have described a little what's the prerequisites, like there's training available that you have to go through, etc. So things like that. I'm sure Bo's covered everything in very detail in one of his sessions. So let's just start the simulation from here. I start here with the optimistic result. I think that's fine. And we can see here we have basically the technical downtime. That's the overview, which can be reduced if I use the downtime optimized conversion by 18 hours. As I said, we have seen that FI conversion took something like 17 hours and a half. This will be moved into uptime handling and a little more, like maybe the TABIM UPG, etc. And that leads us to a significant downtime reduction to close to 6 hours. Considering that Jane and Joe got like one shift from their business, so they should finish the downtime within 8 hours, that could work out, right? What they did now is, based on this finding, they said, okay, let's go for a downtime optimized conversion result and run it again, the overall system conversion. And this is now the second line item that I will show you. So we have here a scenario system conversion with the downtime optimized conversion flavor. Just click on that item. So, and we can already see there's an uptime that was, of course, prolonged because the FI conversion was moved into uptime. And the overall downtime of Software Update Manager this is the orange bar here, is like 6 hours and 3 seconds. And that basically goes along with what they have requested or what they had in mind, what they simulated, and basically that now fulfills and meets the requirements they got from their business. As said, we have now here 2 iterations, one with the standard and one with the downtime optimized conversion result. What I can now do is I can also compare those results. I will start with the standard conversion and compare it with the downtime optimized conversion to see what is the difference. So we can here use the compare feature. I think the comparison was deal2. Just search for that. Sorry, that filter did not work out. So we have 2 runs here, and I think this is the right one. And I can just use the comparison button here. So now that looks like we have the base, which is our standard conversion. It had the technical downtime of 1 day. Technical downtime is the SUM plus the FI conversion. And we have our downtime optimized conversion run. It's on the this second bar where the uptime was quite long, but the downtime is just like 6 hours. If we scroll down, we can also see we have a downtime saving of close to 18 hours. That was also what we have simulated in the tool. Yeah, you can also have some comparisons here. If you would now go a little deeper into it, you can see also here on a phase level, the top phases are also listed here. So we have uptime, like the activation. It took, in the standard run, it took 8 hours. They also fine-tuned a little in the second run the parameters that are relevant for the ActUPG, which also led to some improvement, etc. And yeah, the downtime was also changed here, obviously, in order to meet the requirement from their business. I think that's really handy also to prove what was simulated versus what is then also coming out of such an exercise, right? So doing a standard conversion, doing a downtime optimized conversion, and really see, did it help? Or did we meet the recommendation or like the simulation, what was printed out, or did it completely look different? Yeah, it's also good to have that kind of a comparison. And as said, it's not only for the conversion versus downtime optimized conversion, but you can also compare any other event, like you have done 2 upgrades with NZDM and you just want to see how did the runtime change maybe over the systems, like you have done a queue and a test system or the prod, etc. It's quite handy. So you can compare 2 maintenance events here. You can't take like 3. So there's this limitation of the comparison of 2. Yeah, so that's basically the feature of the comparison. We have also seen the simulation and all the charts. And I've already told you feedback is quite important for the development team. For SUM, you have that feedback form in the tool as such. For the technical downtime optimization app, you can use the feedback button on the right corner. And that's based on a Qualtrics feedback, and you can use the feedback form here in that way that we have the 5 buttons, and you can say, okay, I like that. It meets the requirements that I have. And the app is easy to use, for instance, and you can even put in some long text. Yeah? And it's also, of course, read by our development team. So we are very happy to receive also your feedback if you say, hey, this feature is nice, but I would think it goes a little into the wrong direction, or I have an idea. Can't you also get that feature into it, and etc. So happy also to get your feedback via this channel. So I think it's anonymized, if I'm not wrong. So I think if you want to really get feedback from someone from development back, you should also put in your email address here. Otherwise, it's just an anonymous feedback that you would submit. So having said that, I will just close the feedback form and I will go back to the presentation. And I have a very last slide here, which is talking a little about on the release highlights. And basically, the latest features have been shipped just 2 months ago. And what I already showed you is that event comparison that looked quite different in the past. And we have simplified and streamlined the UI to make it easier to consume. Yeah. And even that comparison based on a face name was not there in the past. We just shipped that very recently. A couple of other things. I mentioned the view selection item. The drop-down box here was removed because it was just not really intuitive how to use it. So we also streamlined the application here and there. A couple of other things that were shipped in the past. Of course, we are here working in an agile mode, so we try to ship every quarter. The features, sometimes the small ones are shipped ad hoc without any big release update version. So some things are shipped immediately if it's completely tested and finalized. So then we can release that in a very quick way. So having said that, I'm at the end of the presentation. And Larissa, how about taking a look to the chat if there's any question from the audience?
First of all, thank you, Jens, for your presentation, for this also detailed demo. This demo is definitely for practitioners who, who work with the conversions of SAP systems. So we hope that this session and the knowledge that you shared today will reach out to our community. I can't see questions in the chat, but I can only encourage those. I can only encourage our listeners to leverage the opportunity to ask Jens about the application, about his experience with the application, and maybe a short question from my side. This feedback form that you mentioned. So this form is only accessible when you're in the application, right?
Yeah, so you mean the feedback here?
Yes, the feedback to the application where you can, provide share your experience and your,
exactly.
How did you felt about using this application?
Yeah, indeed. I think it's not even on the home screen, so you have to be in a maintenance event. So if we are on the home screen, it's not there. Actually, we have to first go into one of the events and then the feedback button appears. We should consider also to bring that here to the main screen, to this next to the question mark icon. Yeah, that would be also handy.
So this would be probably the first feedback
yes.
from the
That's
user,
a good one.
because of course, especially for those who work with this application, and very often you have this impulse to share your experience immediately, and if you need to look for feedback button, this might bring you a bit.
Yes. If I'm already here on that screen, just one more thing, that question mark icon is also quite handy. So from here you can jump directly to the SAP note talking about the features. We have a blog post in the SAP community from one of our colleagues written, introducing the app again, as well as an introduction video. That's it's not brand new. I created that last year. But so it's also quite a good starting point. If you don't want to listen now to the 30 or 40 minutes of demo, but you want to have a crisp introduction video, like 2-3 minutes, I can also encourage you to watch that video. And yeah, that's all linked behind that question mark icon.
This is excellent, and may I suggest to include those links into the description to this video for our listeners of this session who will check our videos on demand for on-demand consumption. I think it will be helpful if our listeners can choose from various from various locations. So I can't see questions in the chat. As I've already mentioned, the PDF of this session will be available in the description to this video, so feel free to leverage this information and those links. And we will also include the most relevant links also to the description to the video, so it will be very convenient for those who will watch this video afterwards to jump into the information source that is very, very much available. Okay, with this, as I've already said, I can't see additional questions. With this, I would say thank you, Jens, very much for your presentation, for the demo, and we hope we will get and attract more listeners to this session, and we'll include all the necessary links into the description to this video. Thank you very much. And
thank you also from my side. Yeah, thanks for tuning in and thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we continue with our Cloud Lifecycle Management series. Our upcoming session will be on 9th of November. And we will talk about Cloud Lifecycle Management big picture. So we will be very much happy to welcome you in this session, and stay tuned. With this, thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.